If you're a farmer, rain is a good thing, but it is possible to have too much of a good thing. That was often the case with last year's weather. A lack of rain was never a problem, but an excess sometimes was.
Stan Ursery won't classify 2021 as a bad year, but he says it was a difficult year because he always seemed to be running behind. It was a challenge getting the corn, cotton, and soybeans planted on time in the spring, and caring for the crop during the growing season was often difficult.
Just take, for example, our resistant weeds that we have, like Palmer pigweed. There's certain chemicals that we can use to control those pigweeds, but they're only effective if that weed is less than 4 inches tall. Well, that weed can, from the day it germinates to the day it's 4 inches tall, might be 48 hours. So in theory, we have less than 2 or 3 days once we recognize that they have emerged and we have an issue with them to make that application, or you're playing catch up and you may never get them in control.
Across the state, cotton seemed to suffer the most from the cool, wet conditions. Some farmers reported poor quality because the seed began germinating in the cottonland. But for Stan, it was just another delay.
The cotton has struggled because cotton needs heat. We haven't had a lot of the 90-degree days that we normally have. I can only think of 2 to 3 weeks all summer where we hit the 90s, and that's just really strange. And cotton loves, it likes the moisture, but it also likes the high temperatures. So our cotton is behind, but it can still turn out to be a good crop.
Even with the problems caused by the excessive rain, Stan knew his hard work and determination had paid off at harvest time.
It was a wonderful corn harvest. We had some weather delays from one tropical storm system that moved through, and then a couple of low pressure systems that just sat here and dumped rain. I don't know that I've ever had to use the 4-wheel drive to get my corn out, but we mudded some corn out in the last few days, but we got it out. And you know, the cool, wet summer made for just a wonderful corn crop. We had just exceptional yields.
Even though it wasn't planted until after his other crops were harvested, Stan says the summer's cool, wet conditions will have an effect on the wheat he grows during the winter months.
Typically, I like to be done planting wheat by the 15th of November, but this year it's probably going to put us probably the 10th of November before we ever get started. And you know, depending on how quick we can get across the ground, you know, it may put us into the end of November, and there will be a day when I just decide that it's too late and we may not have as many wheat acres as we had planned on.
Stan says years like this are why his farm is diversified with a variety of crops. If there's a problem with one, the others have a chance to make up for it. But even with the problems the excessive rain caused, Stan says he'd rather have to manage in the mud than deal with the drought.
Give me the wet every year, at least I've got a chance. I don't like watching a crop right out of the field, but if I had to pick, I don't like watching one sit there and burn up either. There's no hope when there's no rain. At least when I have rain, there's some hope.
Welcome to Alabama Smart Yards. We're creating beautiful landscapes that protect natural environments. Today, Danny Carroll will talk about row covers. Using these inexpensive tools can offer your garden several benefits.
An underused method for pest management in our home vegetable gardens involves using a pest exclusion system. This is just a temporary boundary that keeps pests away from our main crop. These systems involve using floating row covers as a physical barrier between the pest and the main crop. These pest exclusion fabrics are made from spun-bonded polyester or polypropylene. They are thin enough to allow the majority of light, air, and rain to pass through, but thick enough to stop the large insect species. By using row covers properly, the need for pesticides in our home vegetable crops is reduced. The covers can keep moths from laying eggs, squash bugs and flea beetles from taking over, as well as other insects that we compete with each year. Many cool season vegetables do not require pollination for harvesting, so we do not have to take the row covers on and off like we do with vegetables that need access to bees. Floating row covers are not difficult to install, but to work effectively, there are a few considerations. Install your row cover immediately after planting. If you wait too long, you may trap pest insects inside the canopy. Covers can be laid directly over the crop or affixed to a frame. Bend PVC piping over a raised bed to create a frame, or use hoops and drape the row cover over the hoops. Completely cover the crop from top to bottom and side to side. Secure all the fabric to the ground, ensuring there are no holes for pest insects to come in. Watch the temperature, as row covers can trap extra heat. Row covers are a great tool in our pest management toolbox.
What we eat, what we wear. It all starts somewhere. And if it's good, it usually starts with a farmer. And that somewhere is right here in Alabama. In a field, in a barn, on a tractor. Right now, there's a farmer starting something good for all of us. And it all starts right here in Alabama.
There's nothing quite like sitting down to a home-cooked meal with fresh vegetables from the garden. With Bonnie plants from your local quality co-op store, you can enjoy the freshest vegetables right from your own backyard. And no matter if you're a raised bed gardener, a rose gardener, or if you farm hundreds of acres, your quality co-op store has exactly what you need to get the most out of your plants. You'll always find what you need, plus friendly, knowledgeable advice at your local quality co-op store. There's one near you.
Not littering is not hard. If you've accumulated trash in your vehicle, don't throw it out the window. Throw it in a can at the gas pump. Throw it in a can at a storefront. Throw it in a can at work. Or throw it in the can at home. Just don't drop it on Alabama. Not littering is not hard. Brought to you by People Against a Littered State, the Alabama Department of Transportation, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
For more Simply Southern, follow us on social media. And while you're online, visit our website, simplysouthern.tv.net. Simply Southern continues in a moment.
Sweet Grown Alabama is such an amazing brand. It'll be great for consumers to be able to connect immediately with an Alabama grown or made product.
Sweet Grown Alabama, what it means to us is community. By buying Sweet Grown Alabama, you are able to support your community and plan to play your part and help the farmers.
There's a huge advantage just to your local community by buying local, whether it's local farms or local businesses.
Find Sweet Grown Alabama farms, markets, restaurants, and stores near you at sweetgrownalabama.org.